Hi, I'm Waltz, and this is my whiteboard, where I workshop small changes to game design. Today, I want to take a look at the first job I played in FF14 and my main to this day, White Mage. You may recall from my Harbinger pitch video that I picked it because I liked the class fantasy Conjurer offered, that of attuning with the elementals and wielding the natural elements of wind, water, and earth. Honestly, I'm pretty happy with White Mage overall. However, there are some small adjustments I'd like to make, and a couple of minor things that bug me. Let's begin. As a healer, White Mage's offensive toolkit is limited. The main three spells you'll be slinging as filler are Stone, which deals single target earth damage, Arrow, which deals single target wind damage over time, and Holy, which deals unaspected AoE damage and stuns targets. As you might have guessed by the title of this segment, there's a distinct lack of water. In A Realm Reborn, White Mage, or rather Conjurer, did have a water-aspected damaging skill. It was Fluid Aura, an instant cast OGCD on a 30-second cooldown, which dealt single target water damage, knocked back the target, and bound them in place for 6 seconds. This was updated in Stormblood to remove the damage, then again in Shadowbringers to remove the knockback, then in Endwalker it was removed entirely. Ouch. Now, I don't want to bring back Fluid Aura because, let's be honest, it's a pretty wacky spell. I'd much rather a normal, filler spell to sit alongside Stone and Arrow. Some of you are probably thinking, but Waltz, in Shadowbringers they upgrade into Glare and Dia, which aren't elemental spells anyway. Yeah, but that's 3 expansions in. When that switch does happen, Holy remains as is, since it never had any elemental aspect when you first learned it at level 45. That's also much later than most jobs get their first AoE skills, which some people think should be unlocked earlier. So what if Holy upgraded from one? I propose a new spell called Water, which deals AoE water damage to targets around the caster. It does not have a stun component. Water would be unlocked at level 25, giving White Mage earlier access to AoE damage. Not too early though. I personally don't think every job needs AoE by Sastasha, but they should no later than level 30 with your Jobstone. Putting water here also fills a crucial space during leveling, where, in today's game, White Mage doesn't learn a single new skill between Stone 2 at level 18 and Cure 2 at level 30. Unless you count the trait Maim and Mend at level 20, which barely shrinks the gap. At level 45, White Mage would learn the trait Water Mastery, upgrading Water into Water 2. This adds Holy's stun effect, effectively reskinning it with different VFX. At an even later level, Water 2 would upgrade again into the Holy we know and love. Putting this upgrade during Shadowbringers would be thematically appropriate, especially given Glare and Dia, but getting it during Stormblood is better, for a reason I'll mention in the next segment. At level 52, White Mage unlocks the Lily gauge. Every 20 seconds during combat, a lily blooms, which can be expended on Afflatus Solace, a healing action that is effectively a Cure 2 without any cast time or MP cost. After that, nothing about this system changes until level 74, at which point expending lilies 3 times makes a Blood Lily bloom. This can in turn be expended on Afflatus Misery, a massive damaging AoE nuke. Then, immediately afterwards, White Mage unlocks Afflatus Rapture, an AoE healing action that is effectively a Medica without any cast time or MP cost. That huge gap is kinda weird, right? Especially when you consider that, in general, White Mage learns twice as many actions in Heaven's Ward and Shadowbringers compared to Stormblood in between them. This is why I want Water 2 to upgrade into Holy here, FYI. So my proposal is a simple one. Move Afflatus Rapture down a few levels, to 68, in the Stormblood range. Now you get one each of the 3 Lily spells in 3 consecutive expansions, and access to a reliable group heal in level 70 duties. Ultimates, anyone? By the way, I know plenty of people out there want the Lily system as a whole to be learned earlier. I don't necessarily disagree with the sentiment, but I actually have a different idea to achieve a similar end goal. Oh yeah, we're going there. Freecure is a trap. It has tricked many innocent young healers into spamming Cure, fishing for that no-cost Cure 2 proc. This is such a common mistake that the community has even created a whole website about why you shouldn't do that. But, you know, a no-cost Cure 2 does sound a lot like Afflatus Solace. Let's take it a bit further. How about the Freecure proc also makes Cure 2 instant cast? Not bad, but it still gets players spamming Cure when they should be spamming Stone instead. In fact, let's take advantage of that. Instead of Freecure proccing off Cure casts, it now procs off Stone and its upgrades. This teaches players not to heal bot, looking at you, Sylphie, and encourages them to DPS to get rewarded with a free instant heal. With a GCD of 2.5 seconds, the lower 12.5% chance averages out to a proc every 8 casts, or 20 seconds, just like your Lilies. I'll be honest, this one is just a pet peeve for me, and makes no functional difference to anything at all. Over several expansions, Stone upgrades to Stone 2, Stone 3, then Stone 4. Beyond that, it transforms into Glare, which itself got an upgrade during Endwalker to Glare 3, not 2. The same is true of Holy to Holy 3. That's stupid. Now, I know the reason behind this. The Japanese skill names are Gurega and Horika, having apparently skipped Glera and Holira because they sounded weird. I don't care about that, the English translation doesn't even use the suffix nomenclature anyway. I just want to lop off one digit from each to rename them into Glare 2 and Holy 2. This was complicated further in Dawntrail, with the addition of Glare 4, which isn't even an upgrade to Glare 3, but a separate spell altogether. That's even more stupid. I'm renaming this one as well, into Banish, a deliberately different spell family. God forbid 8.0 upgrades them again and they have to jump to Glare 5 and Glare 6. Before I go, here's a quick recap of what I covered. Added Water, a weaker AoE spell for lower level ranges, which upgrades into Water 2 and then Holy afterwards. Moved Afflatus Rapture from level 76 to level 68, so the Lily spells are more evenly distributed between expansions. Made Freecure proc off of Stone instead of Cure, and it makes Cure 2 functionally equal to Afflatus Solace. And renamed the spells Glare 3 to Glare 2, Holy 3 to Holy 2, and Glare 4 to Banish. And that wraps up today's workshop. What did you think of these revisions? What other changes would you like to see? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching!